everyone, and good morning, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Rio with me, Ismaini, your host, and Callie. Hi, Callie,
Good
how are you?
morning.
So here we are Monday morning again to start the week right. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about interest rates, variable and adjustable rate for mortgages. And then before we get into that, of course, we're going to do the myth of the day. And getting into that topic, the myth of the day is going to be adjustable or variable rate mortgages are always cheaper than fixed rate mortgages. Now, that's not true. And Kelly, tell us why.
So, adjustable rate mortgages can sometimes be higher than fixed interest rate mortgages. Right now, the difference between an adjustable rate mortgage, the interest rate on an adjustable rate mortgage versus a fixed rate mortgage, there's not much difference in the rates right now. There was a time when we had the big refi boom in 2002 and 2003, 4, like that era, where the adjustable rate mortgages were super low, and or you could have your fixed rate, but they, like, say your fixed rate was around 4 or 5, but those adjustable rate mortgages were around 2-3%. So
that's
in
a
that
pretty
case,
big difference.
it is a big difference.
Yeah.
Right now with the market, I know when I was at Sierra, and I have priced a couple adjustable rate mortgages here at Fairway. The interest rates aren't much different. And again, the other piece of that is when you're in an adjustable rate mortgage, most times you have a fixed rate period, and then it adjusts after that fixed rate period. And if you don't refinance after that fixed rate period's up, your rate becomes adjustable and could be adjustable depending on where the market's at that day, time, or whatever, because they will change. And there could be a possibility that your payment's higher than what it would be if it was fixed.
If the rates were higher at that time in the market, you just don't know. You could be lower.
You don't have, like, that's the big risk with adjustable rates. You don't have the same payment every month. And once it's adjusting, there might be a time where maybe that LIBOR is really low that 1 month, or depending, because the market right now is constantly up and down. And even throughout history, the market is constantly up and down. So with that being said, you just never know what your payment's going to be. And, your payments 1 month could be much higher than what it would be if you actually had a fixed rate mortgage, if that makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah. No, that's awesome. And we're going to break it down even further and go in more detail once we start talking about, the difference between the two and disadvantages of both, which you already mentioned some of it. But before we get into it, today, since we're in the beginning of the month, we're going to be giving you guys a quick market update for March. We just have all the numbers that came back for February. So I just wanted to share with you what's going on and the difference between today and last year in comparison of this month of February. So for Dauphin County, so this month of February, we had 263 new listings hitting the market, which was an increase of 12% in comparison to January. The average days on market actually went down by 13% from 34 days to 30 days. So houses were staying a little bit longer, but now they're still more than what it used to be, like just last year, right? But it did have a little decrease, which just shows that houses are starting to sell faster again, because we know that this spring market is going to be a little busier. We had 200 from the 263 new listings that came in, 267 went on the contract, which means we had some overflow from January, but everything went on the contract. And then the average sales price for this month of February was $227,659. In comparison to January was 224, so we had a little bit of an increase on average price. We currently have 1.6 months of inventory for Dauphin County, and in comparison to last year that we had only 1.1. It is a little bit of a slight increase, but it's still a very strong seller's market overall. So for Cumberland County now, Cumberland County we had 180 new listings coming in February. The average days on market was 28, which actually went down as well by 6.5% in comparison to January, where we had 30. The 173 properties went under contract from the 180, and the average sale price was 332,000 in comparison to 329 in January, which shows the prices might be going up in Cumberland County area. We currently have 1.8 months of inventory, and that is definitely an increase as well in comparison to last year, where we only had 1.2. So that's for Cumberland. For Lancaster County, we have 325 new listings in the market in February, which it is a decline actually in comparison to January, where we had 373. The average days on market actually went up, so that's the only market that is different from the other two. We had an increase in average days on market from 25 to 28, and 327 properties from the 325 went under contract, which means again we had an overflow that also went pending. And the average sale price is 301 as of February, which it is a decline in comparison to January, which is 326,000. We currently have 1.8 months of inventory as well in Lancaster County, and that's an increase from last year, which was 1.1. And then finally, but not least, we have York County. York County is like your busiest market. There's a lot of properties, maybe not as high in value, but a lot more properties coming in the market, which we had 438 listed new listings in February, and that was 5% increase comparison to January. And the average days on market also went up by 7% from 27 to 29 days. From those 438 new listings, 426 properties went pending, and the average price for those properties that sold was 255 in February, and that was actually a decline in comparison to January, which we had 271. Accumulation of inventory is 1.7 months in comparison to last year, which was 1.2. So again, we are seeing an increasing inventory overall across the board from all counties. Still a very strong seller's market, because again, a balanced market would be 6 months of inventory, or at least 4 to 6, and we're still sitting on 1 point something. But this is still much better than 1.1, 1.2. We're getting closer to that 2 range, and hopefully that will give buyers a wider selection of homes and more opportunities to get better deals moving forward in 2023. So that's all I have for our market update for February, coming into March. And now for the topic of the day. So we will be talking about adjustable rate mortgages in comparison to fixed rate mortgages. And I guess, Kelly, you can explain to us a little bit about the difference. I think it's kind of obvious, but maybe you can break it down. Maybe the main differences between the two and things to consider there.
Okay. Well, there's really only the one big difference is, so in a fixed interest rate, obviously you have an interest rate that is fixed and it never changes. So because of that reason, your payment, your principal and interest payment does not change throughout the life of the loan. In an adjustable rate mortgage, we have several different types of the adjustable rate mortgages, and a buy down kind of goes in with that. They're not listed as an adjustable rate mortgage, but buy downs have a similar
structure.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of throw that in there.
Mm-hmm.
But adjustable rate mortgages, in most cases, they're fixed for a certain amount of time, whether it's 3, 5, 7, 10, and then after that time period, the interest rate will adjust monthly based on the market, which means your monthly payment will change. So It could go up, it could go down. It's all dependent on the market, what the LIBOR rates are, what the oh my God, I'm having a mental block here. The interest rate that the feds increase every year. I can't.
Oh yes, yeah.
The index.
The index. Yeah.
Whatever it is that adjusts. Obviously,
Yeah.
we know that's set right now with the last increase that the Feds had, but we never know if they're going to increase it or decrease it. So it's based off of that, and there's like a formula that goes into play. I don't know what that formula is, but it's different for each one of those adjustable variable interest rates. So
Are
because
they
each one,
different for fixed versus adjustable? Do you know?
what's that?
Are they any difference between the fixed and adjustable?
Yes. So like
Yes.
with the fixed, you don't have, yes, obviously the rates itself change every day based on the market,
Yeah.
but if you're locked into a fixed rate, it
That
never
doesn't matter.
changes.
Yeah.
Never changes. Whereas the adjustable can be fixed for a certain amount of time, but then after that fixed period is up, it will adjust every month after that until you either sell or refinance.
Okay. So maybe so just so people here understand, right? So fixed rate um, is your more conventional, normal kind of
Yep.
mortgage rate where whatever you get when you're actually buying the house, that's the same rate it's going to be for your 15 or 30-year loan that you signed up for. But the adjustable rate or variable rate, that's the one that can change. Now, there's different types that you mentioned. Can you break it down to us? What are the different types of those adjustable rate terms?
So the rate terms are just the types.
The types.
Like
In the terms,
I said,
for
so
example.
the adjustable rates, I did like a little bit of research on it, and there really are no that I've seen interest only options anymore. That used to
Okay.
be an option, but I don't believe it is. Usually you get interest only options with home equity lines of credit.
That's right. Yeah.
But so the interest only types that we offer are, I believe it's 3, 5, 7, and 10, if I'm not mistaken. And what that means is, for example, if you have a 3-1 arm, your interest rate that you lock in at settlement is locked in at, let's say, 6.5 for the next 3 years.
Mhm.
So your payment will be fixed for the 3 years, and then after that 3 years is up, your payment will become adjustable or variable. So with that being said, your payment will change every month. Unless the market is the same for a couple months in a row, then there's a possibility it might be the same. And this is your principal and interest payment. So
Right.
the principal and interest payment is subject to change once that time period is up, whether it's the 3, 5, 7, or 10 years. And again, like I said in your previous comment, the adjustable rate is based on the market, the LIBOR, the different rates and different indexes that go into place when deciding what the rate's going to be.
Yes.
So again, I don't know what the formula is, but there is one for each one. But again, that's where the adjustable rate can be a little bit more risky once that period is up.
That's right. Yeah. And I think some things that people can consider when they're deciding on what term they are going for the adjustable rate is really like whether they're getting a really good deal in comparison to what today's market rates are or not, right? So if you're getting a really great deal and you can get yourself in a 7-year term, that might be a good idea. But if it's not really too much different, like you said, right now they're not that much difference than what the rates are. Maybe it's a 3-in-1 would be a better option because they will hold them for 3 years and then it can refinance before that term is out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that kind of would be the strategy there.
Yeah.
Now, once, let's say someone is on a 3-year term and they do not refinance before the term is up, and now they find themselves on an adjustable rate. How often does that rate change?
Monthly.
After there's an adjustment? Monthly?
Yep.
So every month, that payment that you're paying could be changing.
Correct.
Yeah. So I think that's really good information for people to know, that once that goes up, yes, it could be great one month, it could be off on the next month, right? So it's really a good time to consider the refinancing option.
Correct.
So you're not as insecure as for what's going to happen next month.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So what are some of the variables of how the adjustable rate is calculated or predetermined for someone? Is it the same criteria as a fixed rate, or is it something different whenever someone is shopping for an adjustable rate?
So you okay? So
What
let me make
determines
sure.
that rate, I guess?
What's that?
What determines a rate on when it's adjustable? Is based on the person, like in a fixed rate, or is based on a different index?
They are a little bit different. Like I said, I don't know the whole calculation of it. So the interest rate is all going to depend on which one they choose, like which product, which adjustable arm they choose. But again, I don't. It all depends on the market, and I don't know what determines what that rate is.
Yes. Does the person's financial profile will kind of play any piece onto the variable rate, just like the fixed rate? You know how you have the good credit?
No. So
better rate.
So there's many different reasons to decide whether you want an adjustable interest rate.
Okay.
So when you apply for an adjustable interest rate, you are always pre-approved at the note rate. So if your adjustable rate is 5, but the note rate is 7, you're always approved at the higher interest rate as part of the profile.
Gotcha.
So there's many different reasons to go into, I shouldn't say many, but there are a few different reasons to go into the adjustable rate. So say you choose a 3-year, just because, I'm going to use myself as an example, because when we bought my house, my husband was like, oh, I don't think we can, afford any more than this amount of payment. And, this is what he wanted to be. So I structured our loan to be that payment. And it was a 3-year, they call it 3-1 arm.
Yeah.
So I knew that we would be refinancing prior to that. So that was my reasoning and that was the payment I was comfortable with. We were approved at the higher, what the note rate would have been.
Yeah.
It would have been an adjustable rate, but that's what we chose. So another reason to do like an adjustable rate mortgage is to save money.
Yeah.
So say you want to go into a 10-year and your payment's lower for 10 years, then you can, that allows you to save more, whether it's putting money into the house or putting money into the bank or putting money into retirement. That's extra money because you're always, like I said, you're always pre-approved or approved at the note rate higher, but the adjustable rate mortgage allows you to save more money throughout the life of the loan.
And that actually can help you cover the cost of refinancing when the time comes as well.
Sure. And by that time, you could have a lump sum saved to refinance and put it down on the house to make your loan to value down lower.
Yeah.
So,
I gotcha.
So yeah, that's a really good reason to kind of go in if you're planning to stay in the home long term. The other reason people do adjustable rate mortgages is they're short term. It's a starter home, and they're just moving into the house. They don't plan on living there forever. So say they take a 5-1 arm because they're planning to be out like in maybe less than 5 years. So that was the best one to go because you just never know when you're buying and selling a house. But that's another good reason to go into adjustable rate mortgage. You have those lower payments, which allows you to save for the next house you're going to buy.
Correct.
And there's no payment penalties on them. That's not usually a thing. That used to be a thing
before
time, but it's not anymore. So, say you go into the 5-1 arm, that you have these lower payments, you can put money aside for your next house you're looking to purchase. So
gotcha. Are there any additional fees or different fees for using an adjustable versus the fixed rate?
Nope. It's all the same.
Okay. So really, if someone is considering an adjustable rate, I think the only caveat to it is that they would have to approve at the no rate, which is usually much higher. But they would be getting possibly a lower rate and then save money during that period of time. But they have to be able to qualify at the no rate in order to buy the house.
Correct.
With an adjustable rate. So I think that's really the biggest thing. So for you guys at home, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, because a lot of people have like a payment in mind. They're like, oh well, I can only afford this much, even though on paper they can afford a
More.
lot more, if
Yeah,
that makes sense.
that's right.
So, that's where that goes into play. They're like, oh well, I'm only comfortable with this payment, but I can approve them at this, but that's
Yeah.
does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And then I kind of want to break it down to people at home too. So if you are not understanding the no rate situation, so basically, if you are a buyer, like Kelly said, that really can't afford, let's say, a $500,000 home, but you don't want to make payments of four or $500,000 home because you're really aiming for a $300,000 home, right? So that means you are able to qualify for more or a higher rate, but you don't want to. And that's all you need to kind of understand, because what the bank is going to do, they're going to qualify you based on the no rate, which is usually much higher rate, which would make your payments higher. But they're just qualifying you at that. They're not giving you that. They're giving you a lower rate, possibly, right, on the adjustable rate. But they're using that no rate, higher rate to kind of qualify you.
Yeah.
And then if you are able to qualify, then you can go for those adjustable rates and get a better deal potentially.
Right.
Which
In essence, you get a bigger bang for your buck.
exactly. And unfortunately, right now, like you said, there's not too much of a difference between the two.
Not. I mean,
Yeah.
because I have somebody now, they want their payment to be much lower, and I thought, well, I can look at my adjustable rate mortgages, but they're a little bit less, but not enough.
Significantly.
Yeah, not enough to bring the payment down to where she wants it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And then that's when we potentially could be looking at the 2-in-1 buy down or 3-2-1 buy down option, where you actually reducing the rate substantially for that first year and then second year and so on. So if you guys have questions on that option, or would like to, understand even further what that could potentially mean and cost you, just reach out to Kelly. I don't have our stuff going, but it's going now. So if you ever need to get further understanding on this breakdowns and see which option is best for you, please just reach out to Kelly. She can, see based on your financial profile, your needs, what would be the best option for you, because everybody's going to be different. We're trying to kind of explain the concept, but really it's going to be unique to each person, what the best option is. An adjustable rate might not be the best option for everybody. And that's why we brought it up, the myth that it's not necessarily always cheaper or, less expensive than a fixed rate, because it really depends on the person. So what are some of the steps that the borrowers should be taking themselves in order to consider which route to take? Like, is there something that they can do to better prepare for it?
Well, I don't think right now, with adjustable rates not being as low as they were at one time, those steps really aren't much different than if you're just going to purchase a house.
Yeah.
But, so it's the same thing, look at what your payments are. And if that, if you're like dead set that you can't pay any more than this amount, and that adjustable rate mortgage gets you right at that amount, then that's the way to go.
Yeah.
But, it's the other piece is deciding whether or not you want an adjustable rate mortgage would be how long you plan to stay in the house. That's the biggest thing, because if you don't plan to stay in the house more than 3 to 5 or 7 years, then maybe an adjustable rate mortgage is good for you, because you're going to be selling that house and getting out of there. That's kind of the biggest thing, is if you don't plan to live in it, or in your mind, you're going to refinance, because maybe somebody told you that we are going to have a refi boom soon. I wish somebody would tell me that. So again, it's really a matter of how long do you plan to stay in the house, and if you don't plan to stay there forever or even a long period of time, then the adjustable rate mortgage is the way to go.
Yeah. Even if you save, just like you said, is slightly less, that's still a few, dollars every month.
You can go buy your Starbucks every day.
Yeah, yeah. It could be, $50, $100, with a quarter
Yeah.
interest rate that you'd be maybe saving every month. So, I mean, it does make a difference when you're looking at 5 year period.
Yes.
So definitely something to consider, even if it doesn't seem like it's that much of a good deal, but it could save you quite a few $1,000s in a period of 5 years. So I know we mentioned that I think the biggest risk with going variable or adjustable rate is really the adjustable part, right? The variation of that once we're out of the fixed period. Is there any other things you can think of that the people should be aware of when considering that route?
The only thing I would say is make sure you don't have a prepayment penalty on it. Most of the products these days don't, but you never know. So if you choose to go into an adjustable rate mortgage, you just want to make sure that that's not part of the criteria of that loan, because those prepayment penalties can be high. I don't know how they calculate them, and again, it's not really a thing anymore, but you want to make sure that that's not a thing if you decide to do that. But other than that, I would say that would probably be it.
Do you think there's any, I mean, I know you guys don't work that way, but do you think there's any other banks that could potentially be charging points by giving people?
They
variable
could.
rate?
They could.
So that's something also maybe to really keep an eye on in case.
I would, because some places do that. And again, their interest rates are always on a point schedule, but it's all in the lender or the loan officer on how they apply them to the loan.
Yeah.
So, I usually price mine out closest to zero if it makes sense. Right now with interest rates where they are, you might be paying a little bit to get like maybe a little bit better interest rate.
Yeah.
But I only do that if you have the money for it,
and if it makes sense, right? Because sometimes paying to lower down will cost you more than the period of time you'll be staying in the home.
Correct.
To make it a difference.
Correct. So as far as interest rates and paying them down, it doesn't make sense to do it in an adjustable rate mortgage, because you're most likely not staying in that house long term. So you get a lower interest rate, but you're paying to have it even lower. You never get your money back.
Yeah. Or if you're going to refinance anyway, and you're going to have the cost to refinance anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I mean, refinances, there's no lender fees in refinancing. It's the settlement charges. But again, it doesn't make sense if you're going to go into an adjustable rate mortgage to then buy your rate down, especially if you're going to leave there. You get nothing out of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so maybe three things to consider then: the actual adjustable or variable rate itself after the fixed term. Check if there's any prepayment penalties, fees that you may have to pay, and also make sure you're not paying points in order to be able to get those adjustable rates.
And some they usually don't mark them as points on a fee estimate. They usually listed as loan origination fees or
they can be pretty high.
Lender credit, not lender credit, not lender credit. It would be a lender fee usually.
Oh, they play with names because I've seen so many variations of how they describe it.
Loan discount fees is what they usually are on there.
That is true.
So it's a discount fee because it's buying your rate down. So you want to kind of pay attention to that, because you don't want to be buying a rate down in an adjustable rate mortgage unless it makes sense.
Yeah. And if you guys have something like that and would like, a second eye on it, either me, myself, or Kelly, we can take a look at something you already have, and then potentially guide you on whether that's okay or not okay. Or, Kelly can do even better and she can give her own estimate and show you that, the numbers can be better that way as well, or at least guide you on the best route to take at that point. So I always, we always remind people education is everything. Don't feel don't feel like you shouldn't be reaching out to people. You should, even if you're not working with me or her specifically. We would rather you reach out to us for us to guide you on taking the right choice, or making the right next step, but then not knowing what to do next. So feel free to reach out to us with any questions you may have. Specifically Kelly, when it comes to this part, because that's her expertise, not mine. I have seen many that I could potentially guide you, but I usually double check with her anyway. So this way, like, so yeah. So just reach out to us, and we can definitely help you out on this one. Okay, so overall, what do you think would be some guidelines of what does buyers out there, things to consider, just as a refresher, from the conversation today, if they're considering fixed or adjustable rates, what they should be thinking about when deciding?
I would say, number one, how long do you plan to stay in the house? So if it's your starter home, you only plan to stay there for so many years, then it's
a good option.
An adjustable rate mortgage is something to consider.
Yeah.
The other piece is, what do you want your monthly payment to look like? Because your monthly principal and interest payment will never change on a fixed interest rate, but with an adjustable interest rate, most likely the time frame for whichever one you choose will be lower for however many years the product is that you choose, and that gives you time to save, to put money aside each month with the lower payment, and just your overall picture, like or if you do plan to live in the house, maybe you plan to refinance because just because that's just what you decide to do.
Your market, right? That's
yeah. So I would say those three things are probably the biggest reasons why to consider it. Just to keep in mind that, make sure whatever product you choose, how long that, the adjustable rate mortgage is fixed. Like, how long is it in that lower fixed period?
Yeah, that's very important. Know exactly what product you're getting, how much you're actually paying for it, if you are paying any fees for it or not, whether there's a prepayment payment fee if you decide to refinance or sell the house, or whatever happens before that fixed period is over. And like she said, just really plan ahead if depending on your goals with the property itself. I think that's really it. Anything else you want to add for today in regards to our topic?
I don't think so. It's pretty basic. Like, your fixed rate, your payment never changes. Your adjustable rate, it's lower for a certain amount of time, and then it does go back up. So again, everybody's situation is different, and it's all about your story.
Yeah.
And
your goals.
That's where we come into play, because we need to fit the right house that you're planning to. That's what we need you for, and then I fit you into the right loan product that you need. So just really, knowing, what you're looking to do.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's it. That's all we have for today. If you guys do have additional questions, I didn't see anything come through live, so if you do have additional questions later on, message us and we'd be happy to answer. But that's all we have. We'll see you guys next Monday at 10:30. Don't forget, and we'll talk more real estate. We'll talk real again. See you guys. Have a good day.
Right. See ya.